Mario Kart 8!
What's good, guys? I'm Mario Magadam, and today is gonna be the day I finally do a tier list video in quite some time. If you remember my days of me ranking the CPU Miis from Wii Sports, you know, that was when I last did tier lists.
Oh, if it isn't the GOATs, Mats. Matt, you're one of my favorite Miis. Mats is with Abby with Living Legends. He's an amazing Mii. Even though he's serious looking, he's still an amazing person with an amazing talent of sports.
But now this time, we're going to be doing a ranking of the 48 courses in the Booster Course Pass. I'm doing this video now since my Mario Kart passion was most recently thoroughly discovered, and I do apologize if I came late to join the party. But at least I played Mario Kart Wii when I was younger, and some Mario Kart Tour when it was in 2019. But now I'm playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on my Switch, and it's been an absolute blast. Especially since I really enjoyed playing the Booster Course Pass tracks. The intention of the Booster Course Pass was so that most of Mario Kart Tour's content, from retro/nitro courses, down to the characters in the Mii suits, stayed in a permanent console that everyone can enjoy, and not have to worry about it being shut down anytime soon. And I honestly really liked the move Nintendo did to create it. And we now have 96 courses in this game, can you believe that? But my focus for this ranking was to rank the 48 courses that came in the Booster Course Pass, from Wave 1 all the way to Wave 6. It's going to be a fun one. There are some objectively bad courses and some objectively amazing courses, but I do need to clarify, these are all based on my personal opinion and what I think about the tracks. So you can let me know in the comments if you disagree with something that doesn't make sense and whatnot. The way I'm going to rank these tracks is it's going to come down to layout, aesthetics, music, you name it. And I'm a huge sucker for Mario Kart 8 music, by the way. That's why I'm also doing my soundtrack quizzes. If you guys hadn't seen already, go check them out. They're pretty fun. But yeah, we're going to start with the courses all the way from Wave 1 and go all the way to the final Waves courses. Without further ado, let's go! Starting things off in the Booster Course Pass with the Golden Dash Cup, we have Paris Promenade, or Promenade. This was kind of the start of the Tour City tracks that were being ported over from Tour to Deluxe. This city track is on the basic side though, even though I really like gliding over the fountains towards the Eiffel Tower. The layout feels way too simple though, with too many open straightaways and just not much action going on. Besides this big piranha plant that the Parisians can be happy for its existence. And this hidden shortcut that exists if you don't want to go underneath the tower. We're gonna put this one in C tier. Toad Circuit from Mario Kart 7. Where do I go with this one? I'll just say right now, this is an excellent starter course. Wave 1, honestly, is full of basic layout tracks, except for a few tracks. But this one, I think, is the most basic of them all. It is so damn boring! Like, I get it, circuit courses aren't all that exciting, but damn, this one definitely goes far into the least excitement category, if I'm being honest. And also, another major critique I have, besides the basic layout, what the f*** are these graphics? These are straight out of Mario Kart Tour! Like, they couldn't have at least given a few texturing to the grass and everything else? Considering that this track is in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, a game that consists of courses with wonderful HD graphics, is just straight up abysmal. I'm sorry, Toad. You may be a wonderful character, but my goodness, you have the worst circuit in this game. Automatic F tier. We're moving on. Here's a track I like. N64 Choco Mountain. This course just makes me feel like I'm on a journey through a chocolate mountain. Yeah, that's literally what it is. But I really like it, honestly. I really love this cave section where a few swoopers come flying in and some cool crystals lurking out of those rocks. Oh, and speaking of rocks, danger! Rock slide! This course is fun in its own way. It has a cool glider section where you fly above the thousands of feet. And I hope you're not afraid of heights, because it certainly brings that. And on top of that, this is one of my favorite songs in Wave 1. It really gets me in the mood to go on this journey through the Chocolate Mountain. What a great country-themed song. It just fits the scene nicely. It's such an underrated masterpiece. It's going into the B tier. Wrapping things off in the Golden Dash Cup is the well-known and fan-favorite Wii Coconut Mall. I have a lot of nostalgia for the Wii courses, so my opinion may think highly of these courses, but I'll do my best to not go too far. But Wii Coconut Mall, man, even if I did not grow up with the Wii, this course definitely is a standout. You literally drive through a shopping mall with so much to see. Whether it's going up escalators, passing through shops, grabbing a bite at the cafe, you name it. On top of that, you get the most famous Mario Kart soundtrack in history. What a song it is. I especially love the saxophone part of the song. It gives me the chills. But I do have one major complaint I have to make, despite how much I've been praising Coconut Mall. Mario Kart 8, I'll just say right now, is known to be anti-me. Let me explain. So they removed the Miis from the cars and replaced them with Shy Guys. And even the posters that used to have like potentially Miis replacing like actual characters, like the posters that are in the mall. Yeah, those are no longer Miis either. And on top of that, the cars don't move back and forth in the parking lot spots like they used to. And now they're just a little bit easier to dodge than when they were on the Wii. At least I think the donuts the Shy Guys do are cool though. But I still think Coconut Mall at the end of the day is still an amazing track. But just not the greatest of remakes. It's going into the B tier along with Choco Mountain. Now, heading into the Lucky Cat Cup, the very next cup in Wave 1, we're starting off with my least favorite city track in the entire game. Yes, I said it. And many of you might agree too with what is to be the worst city course in the game. And that is Tokyo Blur. This course is just utterly abysmal. Sure, it's a Wave 1 track. Yeah, they were just improving the city courses, but it's no excuse. The Tokyo roads that the racers drive on are way too wide and straightforward as a result. And it's just way too easy and simple of a layout. We're going to get to future city courses later on in the video with more complex layouts, but this one definitely is not one of those that stands out. I mean, it's pretty cool when you go underneath the Camino Ramon, pass by some famous buildings, greet a few thwomps smashing in the city, and even see Mount Fuji in the distance. But other than that, that's all there is to it, as the majority of this course has a lot of open straightaways with barely any action going on. It's just so boring to drive on, and my least favorite city course ever. Even the music sucks compared to the other city tracks in this game. I mean, I don't want to say it sucks, but I mean, you ever have that thought where a song just doesn't go great with what you're racing in? This is like one of those songs that just sounds way too Mario Karty, and this track just doesn't feel like a Mario Kart track. I don't know, I just don't get the vibes with this song, with a track like this. I'm sorry, Tokyo, but you're going in the D tier. You just don't have any redeeming qualities to bring you any higher. After Tokyo comes Shroom Ridge from Mario Kart DS. And honestly, I really like this course. It's the first traffic course that got brought into the Booster Course Pass, and honestly, this one plays a lot better than how it did with N64 Toad's Turnpike from the base game. Toad's Turnpike was a wide and open freeway, but this course, Shroom Ridge I'm talking about, is like a narrow canyon road with so many sights to see, and it's like a road trip you're going on through the ridge. Even if the visuals aren't the greatest, I always have a fun time when traversing on the highway. Oh, and also the music is an absolute banger. Can't go wrong with this music while I'm going on a road trip. It's so good. So good. It will go in the A tier. Next in the Lucky Cat Cup is GBA Sky Garden. And honestly, I'm not that excited for this track. But why is that? This version of Sky Garden is heavily based on the Mario Kart Tour remake, and as a result of that, the graphics of this course aren't the absolute greatest when compared to another cloud-themed course in this game that's a lot better than this one. I'm talking about Cloud Top Cruise. But there are some cool shortcuts you can take in this track, but a lap is done before you even know it, which kind of sucks, honestly. I really wanted more out of this track, and honestly, Cloud Top Cruise does all of the theming of clouds in the sky a lot better, and this one feels just a bit too repetitive. So for that reason, it's going into the C tier, joining with Paris Promenade. And now we reach the last course in the Lucky Cat Cup, which is Ninja Hideaway. I remember playing this track in Mario Kart Tour during the Ninja Tour, and I was extremely frustrated at times because of how challenging the course layout was. Mega Mushroom Frenzy. I hate the Mega Mushroom Frenzy. These are obstacles. Oh yeah, they are. Oh boy, they're obstacles. Oh my god. This is a very intense looking course. Oh, I got the bullet bill though, that's good. Because of me not getting used to this course, I'm like so far in last place. Ooh, get the blue shell. Oh my god, it's so confusing to circumnavigate through the track. Why did it strike that dude? Oh, because he was first. Oh my god. How did it just get in second all of a sudden? Alright, we're going uphill. Nope, never mind, downhill. It's, oh my god, and that really does lose your positioning. It literally is a hideaway. Like, there's so many paths you can choose. Like, it was so confusing when I first found out about it. Like, I never even discovered this path. What the hell? And how annoying the Ninja Shy Guys were. I fucking hated those guys. That is the most insane obstacle they have created in the game. Oh, and then a black Shy Guy Ninja. I hate these Shy Guys. Stupid Shy Guys. They put me dead last now. But honestly, despite my frustration when I played this track, it's one of those tracks that I feel like definitely deserves the recognition for being quite the challenge. This course has by far the most alternative paths out of any course. N64 Yoshi Valley is the next closest thing. And to think that this is a Wave 1 track is quite amazing to believe. Most of Wave 1's tracks consist of basic layouts and at times can be really boring as to what we saw earlier. This one, however, is not boring at all. It will keep you on your toes at all times, and it's a lot of fun once you master the alternative routes and where they go and how much they would benefit you to gaining some spots. So before that, this will be going in the A tier. So that's the Wave 1 tracks. Quite the beginning to the Booster Course Pass, eh? Yeah, wasn't a great wave. But now, we're moving on to the next wave, as we're going to be ranking the courses in the Turnip and Propeller Cups. Kicking things off in the Turnip Cup, we have New York Minutes. The first city course ever to be introduced in Mario Kart Tour way back in September of 2019. This course really brings the New York vibes, I must say. There are so many pretty bright lights in the downtown areas. In Central Park, you encounter some Goombas. And you also then enter the Rockefeller Center, which kind of adds some variety. But other than that, it's a track that really never stood out to me compared to the other city tracks in this game. Maybe because the layout is kind of on the simpler side, sure. But I gotta keep in mind that this was the first ever city course to be introduced to Mario Kart Tour. So I don't want to fault it too much. But you know, one thing I kind of wished was an inclusion was maybe adding some moving cars in some parts of the downtown sections. Knowing that New York is one of the most populated cities in America, I feel like traffic would have suited it a lot better. This is going in the B tier. Next in the Turnip Cup is SNES Mario Circuit 3. Part of me is saying that this track is amazing. And another part of me is saying that this track absolutely sucks. But let me talk about the good things about it. I grew up with the Wii, and this was a retro course in Mario Kart Wii, and as a result, I kind of knew this Mario circuit from Super Mario Kart more than the other Mario circuits. From the sharp turns to the oil slicks and all the way down to the final boost panel before the finish line. I was honestly kind of happy they decided to bring this variant of Mario Circuit from Super Mario Kart. But a part of me is also saying, why does this course look like a pile of shit? You kind of heard my whining earlier about the Toad Circuit's graphics looking so rubbish. Well, Mario Circuit 3 is joining Toad Circuit in that category. What the f*** is this shit? Because my goodness, it just looks way too plain for it to be in this game. On top of that, the track's entirety is flat and consists of 0 anti-gravity or glider sections. It's just your standard circuit course at the end of the day. So ultimately, kind of happy it's in this game, because I knew about it the most and have slight nostalgia for it. But I'm genuinely disappointed with how the product turned out to be, considering the tracks it is competing on. It's going into the C tier, below Paris Promenade and Sky Garden. Next up is N64 Kalimari Desert. This is actually a really good course. Even though you might say, oh, desert courses are boring. Let me explain. It may not seem like at the beginning, like, something that would be truly amazing. Like, because on the first lap through the desert, we're just driving around the railroad tracks and even cross the railroad tracks, when an incoming train comes in to intervene in the race. Gotta love that gimmick this course brings. I kind of wish they inserted a railroad crossing sign before the actual railroad shows up. Kind of like this one. If they could do chevron signs in Shroom Ridge and a rock slide sign in Choco Mountain, I feel like a railroad crossing sign would have been really suiting. Just a cool idea that came to my mind, just saying. But after your first lap around the desert, you then go the same route again, expecting it to be the same as always, since desert courses can typically be boring sometimes. Oh wait, where did this ramp show up? Oh wow, this ramp came out of nowhere. Did the engineer of the train build a ramp directly over the tracks that directs you literally onto the railroad just so his engine men can run you over? Wow, I was not expecting that from this course. I love it. And what's even crazier is that lap 3 begins from underneath the absolute narrow tunnel that you have to travel through before still driving on the railroad and heading back to the main path before you eventually reach the finish line. Wow. That was quite the twist to an otherwise alright desert track. I love how they heavily use the train gimmick in this version of Kalimari Desert, and it really gives this track quite the appeal. And the music, oh man. When I first heard this song, man, I was like, is this actually Kalimari Desert's song? It just sounds so different and modern. I absolutely love it. Man, live bands don't mess around. This is a really good remix. For that, I'm giving this track an A tier rank. It deserves it. Now we reach the course that caps off the Turnip Cup. The course. Yes, the course. Waluigi Pinball from Mario Kart DS. I'm sorry if that sounded cringe. Waluigi Pinball from Mario Kart DS. What a course. What an absolutely amazing course. This was a course that definitely needed to make a return to this game, because my goodness, the lighting and HD graphics this course features really brings the vibes of Waluigi Pinball to a whole new level. I did not play DS when I grew up. Sorry DS fans. But from what I can tell you, this is the one course that makes me feel like a child going to a fun arcade game. From seeing the gorgeous lighting, to the slot machine sounds when you collect an item, and hearing the legendary music. I know it shares the same melody as DS Wario Stadium, but come on, this song's a banger. This song's an absolute banger. It's got everything you want from a fun and entertaining track. Except shortcuts. It lacks those. But who cares?
Bruh.
But other than that, I was really happy to see this course come back, and I'm going to book a ticket to join the tracks that are in the S tier. In fact, I think it's the first S tier track we've gotten so far. Welcome to the S tier, Waluigi Pinball. So, from the Turnip Cup, we now head on over to the Propeller Cup. Let's see what we got here. We're kicking things off in this cup with Tour Sydney Sprint. And to be honest, this city track is actually a lot of fun. This course starts out with entering the Sydney Opera House. And then you enter a fun amusement park area. Then you gain access to the Sydney Harbour Bridge, where on your first lap, you'll probably see that there are ramps constructed in the middle of the bridge, but you go around them, or underneath them to be exact. I guess they're saving those ramps for later on in your journey through the sprint. The very next lap, there's a point where you drive next to a beach area. There's a sandy road and a tiled road, but both paths are fine to take, even though there may be the assumption that the sand might be off-road. After that, you now head back to the Sydney Harbour Bridge, but now you're facing the ramps this time, so now you can jump on those ramps and do some fun tricks. How about that? And on the third lap, you're once again going in the direction like you did on the previous lap, but now this time, you're essentially taking lap 1 backwards. You go back to the amusement park and then glide back into the Sydney Opera House, and then shortly after is the finish line. One thing's for sure, the music. It's just so good. It's an absolute banger. The saxophone goes so hard in this song, and it's just a chef's kiss to an otherwise A-tier track. Gotta love Sydney. Coming up next, we got GBA Snow Land from Super Circuit. When I played this one, I was like, whoa, the item boxes are flying in. That's a really cool detail, kind of like snowflakes falling from the sky. I really love the visuals, and the music just sounds so blissful and joyful. You also get to greet some penguins too. I feel bad for those guys, but can I just tell you, they make cute squeak sounds if you hit them.
Bruh.
Okay, moving on. There are also a few shortcuts at the near end of the course you can take too, which make for a thrilling finish. Overall, this is a really good vibey track, and it'll be going in a high B tier. Now next is a course I grew up with. Oh man, I was so happy it returned. Wii Mushroom Gorge! My goodness, do I love this course. Wii Nitros just have such a unique flair, design, and creativity to them. And this is definitely one of those tracks that falls into that category. The course's main gimmick is bouncing on those giant bouncy mushrooms, and you get to do some fun tricks off of them, which is always a good time. There's also a famous shortcut at the very end known as the gap jump. It's a really satisfying shortcut if you can make it across, since if you're on like a lap 3 scenario, the finish line is right in front of you to complete the race in amazing fashion. In the meantime, I'm still practicing.
Bruh.
Yeah, I'm not good at shortcuts. But yeah, the music, absolute banger. Even if it isn't significantly changed from the Wii version, it just has such a catchy melody that I really, really like. I definitely like humming this song while I'm racing in this course. It's just one of those songs, I just love singing it. Mushroom Gorge will be placed at a high A tier. The only reason it is not an S tier is because I kind of wish the graphics were a little bit more realistic. But at the end of the day, I still really show a lot of love to this track. It's Mushroom Gorge, come on. Coming from the first 3 tracks of the Propeller Cup comes the most underwhelming track there is. The track is called Sky High Sundae. You are high up in the sky, 0 gravity the entire way through, and there's a lot of sweets, sundaes, and ice creams all around you. They all look pretty cool, and sometimes I've had thoughts of gobbling up portions of the track because of how tasty it looks. Okay, that's beside the point. But I did mention this was the most underwhelming track in this cup. Now, why is that? What is this layout? It is the most uninspired layout I've ever seen. It's literally a high elevation baby park, but a lot longer and wider. As much as how incredibly tasty most of those sweets look, I want to eat that ice cream. Yeah, the potential for this track just wasn't there. One thing I can't complain though, music goes really hard. I could just imagine this being like Sweet Sweet Canyon's music, but the dial was just turned up a lot higher to make it go really hard. This course will go in the C tier though. Sky High Sundae just did not give me my cup of tea. So the tracks are starting to get a little bit better. But now let's see what the Wave 3 Cups bring. The Rock Cup and the Moon Cup. We're going to start things off from the Rock Cup with London Loop. Just like every cup so far, we have started with a Tour City track. This one really matches the London atmosphere well, but this track just doesn't work well with a Mario Kart atmosphere. Let me explain. You do witness some famous London landmarks like spotting the Big Ben at the start and going across the London Bridge and even seeing the London Eye in the distance. And the music is absolutely amazing. I am a huge sucker for rock and roll music, and it makes sense why they went for a rock and roll beat for this track, since the British invasion in 1962 was a huge moment that happened. And Great Britain is famous for its popular rock bands like the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, you name it, I grew up on these bands. But despite the cool landmarks and the amazing music, this track has one major issue. This is a major issue. It's way too long! You can have a long track, sure, but at least make it exciting while doing so. There are way too many parts of this track that are just plain straightaways, and very long ones too. Kind of like Tokyo Blurs. And you know how hard I botched Tokyo Blur. This will fall into that category as well for how many of those straightaways we see right here. This is ridiculous. I feel like they could have added a few obstacles or two to make these straightaways a little bit more interesting. This course just feels like a relaxing drive through a city. But this is Mario Kart, not driving around karts. The chaos just isn't here with this course. At least chain chomps play a huge role in this course. In fact, in the final lap, the chain chomps run free and roam around to try and attack the players. I really like the challenge they pose. And apparently one chain chomp really likes the water. He's probably vibing right now in that water. But I'm going to be placing London Loop in the D tier, just above Tokyo Blur. Tokyo Blur is just that much worse though. London Loop at least has a better soundtrack and at least some form of creativity, even though this track feels way too long and boring. The next track in the Rock Cup is Boo Lake from Super Circuit. This one's actually really fun, and unlike London Loop, this track is a lot shorter. And I mean a lot shorter. A lap is done before you even know it, but let's analyze what this track is good at doing. Right away, we notice the first major twist, an anti-gravity section. If you were to look at the tracks in cup order, this would be the very first track in the booster course pass to bring anti-gravity. And also underwater mechanics too, since this course takes place underneath the lake too. If you think about it, this is the course that brought back key mechanics from the base game to the booster course pass tracks. There is a shortcut you could take with the mushroom while you're underwater, and a few turns here and there. And 3 jumps you have to take before you reach the end of the course. It may be a short course, but it's really good at what it does. Sorry, London. Boo Lake will be going into the A tier. Here we go! The moment you hear that intro to that amazing banger of a soundtrack, you know we've got 3DS Rock Mountain or Alpine Pass. It's one of my favorite Mario Kart 7 tracks ever, and I love this track. The track's main gimmick is gliding through the sky, and when I first played this in Tour uses a point-based system, and every time you're in the air gliding, you get points, and the points rack up, and it's just so satisfying just generating those points, especially when you're using the record setter glider. Take a listen to it. If you love the gliding mechanic, then this track was essentially your dream come true. You start out by going into a cave with swoopers. Then you come out and all of a sudden, you're about to be launched into a very long glider section. And this is where the track's main gimmick plays a role. It's so cool, flying high up in the air, more than any other glider section in the entire game. Unless you get red shelled or hit at any point, then you have to take a lame path downhill. Sorry for the one who got hit. Then, after the long glider sections, you approach the actual mountain with falling rocks. Hence its name, Rock Mountain. It's an anti-gravity section too, which is so fitting since you're literally fighting the high elevation as you're traversing up that mountain. It's pretty fun trying to hit those boost panels while trying to avoid the falling rocks. And with one last gliding segment, you reach the end banner, and you can also glide through it too. Overall, one of my favorite courses in this game, with some amazing music. Oh my god. Can I just say an interesting coincidence? The Rock Cup features London Loop as its opening city track, and its music is rock and roll. And now we've got Rock Mountain in the same cup, also rock and roll music. Pretty well thought out indeed. This track will be going in the A tier. But just like Mushroom Gorge's issue, the main reason why this is not an S tier course, because the graphics aren't just not there, you know, like some of the textures look way too plain, and the grass just looks like clay. Trees would have looked a little bit better, I feel like. Can't complain, it's Rock Mountain. Rock Mountain's my favorite Mario Kart 7 course, and it deserves that spot. To close out the Rock Cup, we got ourselves a really good one. Maple Treeway from Mario Kart Wii! Ah, the sights of autumn are oh so glorious and charming. The music has this incredible folk autumn feel to it that I really like. It was always one of those tracks that really stood out to me from Mario Kart Wii. You get launched from a cannon into the maple tree leaves of a tree to then enter its expressway inside its branches. As you are traversing along the pathway, you encounter some buddies to charm in on the fun. You have reached the Wiggler area, where two Wigglers will try to stop you in your tracks so that you can spend more time with them than racing with the other karters. Aw, poor Wiggler. He got starred by someone. I guess he got his friend to cheer him up. But after that area comes a very steep route where there's a big U-turn that consists of a half pipe. Oh wait, what? A half pipe? A half pipe? Yeah, they finally brought those to this game after so long, didn't they? After that turn, you enter a narrow bridge area, and then eventually you'll be sent gliding all the way back down to where you began your incredible journey. And what a journey it was. It's one of the longer tracks in the game, but it's got a lot of amazing things going for it. The track layout is solid, the surrounding aesthetics are absolutely magnificent, and the music just gives me the chills. Oh man, Maple Treeway. It's an amazing track. Absolutely amazing. Maple Treeway is a well-deserved S-tier track. Good job. So the Rock Cup was really solid, with tracks like Boo Lake bringing anti-gravity and underwater mechanics, and Maple Treeway bringing in half-pipes and being Maple Treeway. And Rock Mountain, of course. Yeah, that cup rocked. No pun intended.
Bruh.
Let's now see what the Moon Cup has to offer. Starting things off with another city track from Tour, Berlin Byways. First off, I really like the track's name. I played Tour myself, and I always really liked the city track names that have the first letter of the name of the city match the first letter of the next word they use for the name. It's a really cool alliteration that I really like. We've seen this already with Paris Promenade, Sydney Sprint, and now Berlin Byways. Now let's talk about Berlin. You start out by going underneath the Brandenburg Gates and then run into some traffic. Hey, New York Minute, you should take notes! I'm just amazed Berlin incorporated the traffic mechanic, but I'm glad it exists, because now this track feels like an actual city environment. Holy hell, finally, something that feels like an actual city. After a few turns, you briefly enter a train station area, where there is also a stationary train with a double item box. After you leave that area, a few more turns, and now you have reached the second lap, where now your next task is to dodge the traffic as you'll be following this route for pretty much the entire lap. I can see some people saying that this lap can get a little bit boring, and I have to agree on that. There's just way too much road, and the cars aren't that difficult to dodge. But before the lap ends, you enter a famous park known as the Tiergarten, I believe. Tiergarten. Correct me if I'm saying it right. As you're reaching the stretch before the final lap, though, somehow some thwomps have spawned in the middle underneath the Brandenburg gates. I don't know where they came from or how they walked there, but they proved to be a nice challenge to get past. Now the final lap has you passing next to the Berlin Wall, where you encounter some womps. Interestingly, we saw thwomps earlier, now womps here. After the Berlin Wall segment, you are treated to a few split pathways. And then you once again reach that famous park again, as you follow the exact same route you closed out lap 2. But this time you are on the final lap to finish the race. Overall, I can't say it's my most favorite city track, but certainly it had its nice challenges here and there. One thing I have to say though, music is absolutely amazing. It consists of German techno pop and orchestral, which is just an absolutely perfect blend. It works so well. And just listen to the transition from the orchestral segment back to the techno pop part. Right here. Just amazing! Just amazing! For the music alone, it gets ranked at about a high B, but the track itself kind of is just on the okay side. Pretty good track regardless though.
Let's go! Alright!
That's right, Peach. It is time for Peach Gardens. Thank you, Princess Peach, for the intro. Next up in the Moon Cup is a fan favorite, and one I grew up with since it was a Mario Kart Wii Retro. Peach Gardens from Mario Kart DS. I just love this course. From the prosperous aesthetics surrounding you as you're driving through the gardens to hearing a lovely waltz tune as you're driving along. It's really a good time to sit back and relax. I've always thought this course was an easygoing and chill course, and a good course to release the stress that you once had in one of the more chaotic tracks. But I can't say this is also the easiest course either. There's a lot of cool shortcuts you can take through the flowers with mushrooms. The hedge area with chain chomps now has transformed into an area with Mario character statues, with those including Peach herself, Toad, Toadette, and Luigi. After that, you enter another hugely changed area. After once consisting of many bush hedges, there is now a piranha plant that took over the whole area. I don't mind it though, because it's a good way of implementing a piranha plant in a course with lots of plants and flowers, if you put it that way. Then you reach the final stretch where there are Monty moles digging underneath you and spouting out of the holes they create. And as you're driving adjacent to Peach's castle, you take one last turn to the right to finish your lap. And that's DS Peach Gardens for you. But oh wait, why did we see those red arrows to the left of us when we did our first 2 laps? Aha, it's because we get a mega surprise coming our way. On lap 3, the arrows now change sides and now block the path that you once took for the first 2 laps. I wonder where you're gonna go. Oh my god, you're actually driving the course backwards now? Isn't that an amazing change of plans? Peach Gardens just gave us the biggest plot twist I've seen. And honestly, I really like this decision that Nintendo made. I'm just surprised that not many retro tracks have such a mechanic like this. I definitely think it's a good way of spicing things up. Now that you enter the chain chomp area, going backwards, you'll be going on a glide. And also make sure to high-five Luigi's bush hands. He deserves it. And you can get a good view of those chain chomps chomping below. And are you glad you are not part of the group that flew down too soon or got hit by an item as they were gliding to then join those chain chomps? Those guys will have a tough time with those gosh darn chain chomps. There's a nice mushroom shortcut you can take shortly after. And then once you get near the Mario hedge, the finish line will await you. Wow, what a nice race at the Blissful Garden. Based on what I had observed from what this course brought and the major changes they made to it, I can fairly say this is also going to be joining the S tiers in my list. But it isn't higher than Maple Treeway, just because Treeway just has that much more of a fun layout. but both S-tier tracks regardless. What a course, with an amazing plot twist. Peach Gardens, take a bow.
Yay! Hooray!
Coming up next in the Moon Cup, after a blissful drive through the gardens, we're driving up a snowy, Christmas-themed mountain, better known as Merry Mountain. This wave got released near the holiday season in 2022, so I guess it makes sense why they brought a track that's holiday and Christmas themed as well. To start things off before you climb up that mountain, you're greeted by a split pathway, with that other pathway involving the train tracks that the Christmas train uses for traveling around the course. Yes, there is a Christmas train, fun facts. Then after crossing a bridge, you are now going for a drive up the mountain. And my goodness, it looks pretty up here. I wish the karters had a pit stop here and maybe they stepped out briefly just to take some photos or just play with the snow before they head back onto the course and hit some people with green shells. I don't know, I'm just thinking about things, I'm sorry. As you reach the very top of the mountain, you notice there's a half pipe to greet you. I'm so happy they're finally now showing respect towards half pipes, at long last in this game. After that half pipe at the very top of the mountain, it's time to go back down the mountain. Once you go up, you gotta go back down. You get a wonderful view of what's surrounding you as you're sledding down the mountain. And after you ascend down, you're greeted to the finish line. Overall, this track does not have the more complex layout compared to some of the other tracks in the Booster Course Pass we've covered, but the aesthetics hard carry this one. And the music has a nice Christmas theming to it, fits the scene nicely. This will go in the middle of B tier. I'll definitely play this track more often when the holiday season approaches. The last track in the Moon Cup, 3DS Rainbow Road. Coming from a Mario Kart game that isn't the most notable, 3DS Rainbow Road is one of the most famous Rainbow Roads in Mario Kart history, and I'm so happy it has been brought to this game. Buckle up everyone, this will be a fun analyzation. Let's start from the very beginning. First off, the road looks incredible. I just really like the colors they used for it, and it's got a good gradient to it. You first pass by planet Neptune, with the sun and some galaxies glimmering in the background. You go on a few boost panels, which is a great place to practice your tricks. And as you're going around Jupiter, you'll probably be holding drift for as long as you can to get that Ultra Mini Turbo, which is just super satisfying. After that loop, you bounce off a space shroom. I don't know where that shroom came from. I don't know where it grew since its stem extends elsewhere. That's why I call it a space mushroom. And then as you're approaching the next segment, the beautiful road then starts to get a little bit wavy, which makes way for some tricks. On to the next segment of the track. You encounter a gliding section that glides you to planet Saturn, and you're gonna be driving on its rings. Holding a drift here is once again gonna be really satisfying. There are also some star rings you can take to give you a speed boost. After finishing that loop around the rings of Saturn, you're once again going to be gliding, but back down to the main road to see where else you're going to be exploring. With a few turns and a few boost panels, you're now led to the moon, which is an anti-gravity segment. It makes sense because the moon's gravity is pretty low, so there you go. And it's seen very evidently with how the chain chomps are just floating in the air and slowly crashing onto the moon. After your brief time on the moon, you now reach the final segment of 3DS Rainbow Road. What more can they possibly bring us? Well, one thing's for sure, you go into a fun rainbow star tunnel with boost panels galore. It's kind of fun just hitting as many as you can before coming out of that tunnel. And you can decide if you want to glide or just take a dash panel to the bottom path for the next segment, which just looks so cool and yet challenging at the same time. Star rings everywhere, asteroid belts, and lots of places to fall off too. It just adds to a nice challenge for the final lap. After that fun segment, you are then greeted with one humongous right turn to then lead you to the finish line. What a journey we just went on. What a journey. This track was amazing in Mario Kart 7, even though I never played Mario Kart 7. But man, oh man, I can really understand the hype that's behind this track. I just love tracks where they are in segments that tend to feel like a journey or exploration as you're racing. And this course definitely feels like a journey through outer space, discovering what kinds of planets we can find and what galaxies there exist. And it just feels too right to put this track along with the other S tier tracks. And also, I kind of forgot to comment on the music. It's really good, but I kind of like 7's version of the song better, since it has more of a classical feel to it, if you know what I mean. This version, though, I kind of imagine kind of sounds like more of like a space electro-pop, if that's a genre. But I do really like the song regardless, even if it means the original sounded better. But okay, we're finally done analyzing 3DS Rainbow Road. But wow, what a track. What a track that was. The waves just keep on getting better and better with more banger tracks after the other, with Wave 3 bringing in key mechanics like anti-gravity and half-pipes. It's certainly going to be interesting what we're going to be seeing in the future waves to come, as we are now looking at the Wave 4 tracks. To start off Wave 4, we have Amsterdam Drift, a beautiful springtime-themed city track. On our first lap through the capital of the Netherlands, we venture on a glide over the river to a beautiful garden town with windmills, money moles, you name it. I really like this area a bunch. Too bad it lasts a short time, since right after we venture back into the main city area where we encounter a trolley before then making it to lap 2. On our second lap, we're then guided into the canal, and we're actually racing in it for a bit. It's actually a pretty interesting variety to kind of change the dynamics of the track. After getting out of that canal, we're now guided to then complete the final lap, as we head the same way as we did on the first 2 laps, but instead of turning left or going straight, we're taking an abrupt right turn to somewhere completely new. We encounter a few more trolleys and make our way back briefly into the canal, but this time it will take us to a surprising area. From that deep dark canal tunnel, we are then taken to a prosperous garden with flowers everywhere and big piranha plants that will be munching on the racers. It's a really cool area. After that, we were met with a few tight turns before finally making it to the finish line. So overall, not my most favorite city track in my opinion, but it is indeed far from the worst. It deserves a solid B tier. And oh yeah, the music is incredibly catchy and phenomenal. It's quite an underrated masterpiece. Up next in the Fruit Cup is Riverside Park from Super Circuit. And first thing I gotta say, this track looks absolutely phenomenal and incredibly detailed. It gets a ton of points for that, since not many of the Booster Course Pass tracks have that amount of detail compared to this track. I especially really love the skybox. It looks so good. However, the layout is kind of on the simpler side, but that doesn't mean it's bad. There are a lot of fun shortcuts you can take, as there are a lot of off-road spots, and we got some guests walking along with us too. Those being those walking piranha plants, also known as tuies. They pose a challenge if you accidentally run into them, but that's what I like about a good track, a good challenge. The whole way through, you're going on a mini adventure through one of the more underrated Super Circuit tracks. With one last jump through a waterfall, you reach the end. Yes, you could say the track is short, but it does so much within that short amount of time. The music is kind of on the okay side. It was never really a song that caught my attention as much as the other tracks in this game, but it suits the forest theme wonderfully, so that's what matters the most. I really enjoy playing this one, and since it looks really good graphically, it gets a low A rank from me. Wait, is that? Donkey Kong, is it Wii DK Summit? Yoo-hoo! Yes! Yes! Oh, this is going here. This is going here. Sorry for the peculiar introduction, but I'll just boldly say this right now. DK Summit from Mario Kart Wii is my all-time favorite Mario Kart track. There, I said it. As much as I like Coconut Mall, Waluigi Pinball, heck even 3DS Rainbow Road, this track is just amazing on a whole other level. This could be my bias for my love for this track, since I grew up on Wii obviously, but there are just many people that also agree with me that this track is really good too. So let's talk about the track, shall we? We start out in front of a heartwarming crowd cheering for us. We take a quick right, then right off the bat get launched from a barrel cannon into the higher elevation of the mountains. And here we go, traversing into the summits. Right off the bat, we can see that half pipes are everywhere. DK Summit is well known for having a heavy use of half pipes. So it just makes me even more happier that the half pipe mechanic has been officially brought to this game. It's just so satisfying taking them as if you're doing snowboard tricks. Then you're greeted to a split pathway, one with a big boost panel ramp and another with snowy bumps you can trick off of. Then you see a big DK statue to your right as you're about to approach the area with many mini snow hills where tricks are plentiful. Yeah, this area was iconic. Oh man, it's just great seeing all this stuff again in HD. After that, you reach an area where you have to take a few sharp turns to get around some open gaps. I'm sorry, I'm trying to practice the double gap cuts. One day I'll get it. But yeah, this track is also famous for the double gap cut. And it's a really satisfying shortcut to pull off. After that segment, you reach an area with thick snow piles, snowboarding shy guys, and half pipes. It's always so much fun doing tricks off those half pipes, and it really brings the snowboarding vibes all the way. The crowd cheers for you too when you do some fun tricks. And with that, you're once again greeting the fans that cheered you from the start after what is an incredible traverse down that summit. What an amazing course this is. What an amazing course. And oh my goodness, I did not forget about the music at all. I'll just say this right now. It is one of my favorite songs ever in the Mario Kart franchise. And quite possibly my favorite Mario song overall. Like, as the Mario franchise as a whole, DK Summit's my most favorite one. I just said that, yeah. I just get goosebumps whenever I hear this song. Sure, you could say I grew up with Mario Kart Wii, which can explain why the goosebumps come because of the nostalgia, but even if one didn't grow up with the Wii, this song is just an absolute banger. Incredible song it is. And they even used electric guitars too! Rock and roll music for the win! Without a doubt, DK Summit is an S tier track in my list. If only S Plus existed. But I have to be fair to the other tracks too. DK Summit is just on another level of amazing in my opinion. Wow, what a track. So happy it's back. After you play an amazing track like DK Summit, let's see if Yoshi's Island can match that. I'll just straight up say right now, it does. It will join DK Summit in the S tier spot. Let's explain why. The start of this course, you're greeted with some jungle drums to prepare you for your epic race. That's quite the twist. And then once the race begins, you're off into one of the most exhilarating crossover tracks in the game. The music you are hearing in the background is a live band version of the athletic theme from the Yoshi's Island series. It's an incredible song, and the live band did huge justice to it. So, let's start off our journey. You're greeted at Yoshi's house with Poochie, a cute dog that's very relevant in the Yoshi's Island series. As you're driving along, you encounter some Shy Guys on stilts, and even some big creatures, better known as Huffin' Puffin, will intervene in the course momentarily. You'll be taking a left turn, encountering a piranha plant on a branch munching from below. And now you'll be heading into a cool underwater section with water geysers and sidesteppers. After that, you then go inside a cool crystal cave and then abruptly reach high heights when seeing snow on the ground. You'll be going even higher as you're then going to be sent gliding into a high cloudy area. You can then also see in the background a blue creature going back and forth, known as a neppy nut. You feel like you're on top of the world in this section, but once all is done, you're then greeted with a gliding section back down. There is also a question block cloud you can try to hit to spawn a nice xylophonic bridge. Yes, I like calling it that because it makes a xylophone sound. That proves to be a very critical shortcut since it takes the turn of the track really tight compared to if you didn't take the bridge. It's a shortcut that is well worth going. If you make it past the bridge, you could then successfully make it through the gold ring, similar to the ones in the Yoshi's Island series, where you complete a level, and you're done with your loop around the island. What a loop it was. There is a reason why I immediately placed this in the S tier. It's just like a love letter to the old Yoshi's Island game. I never played it myself, to be fair, but I've just heard how good it is. And you know, this track just brings all the goodies to it. And I just love the attention to detail that they gave it, as it comes down to the coins having unique sound effects, to the satisfying shortcut I just talked about, to even having its own dedicated course results music after you complete the race. It's got it all! What a track! Wave 4 is already bringing out amazing tracks consistently, more than the previous 3 waves could have asked for. Now, on to the next cup featured in the 4th wave, the Boomerang Cup, where we once again start off a cup with a city track. This time we're taking a look at Tour Bangkok Rush. Now, Bangkok Rush, it was not a Tour city track that caught my attention. I played it on Tour, and it wasn't really one that stood out to me. Unlike some of the other ones that I'm going to mention a little bit later, though. Like, there are some city tracks in Tour that stood out more than this one. But this one's kind of on the okay side. Let's just walk through it, shall we? This course takes place during a really cool golden hour setting. We start out by driving on what appears to be a river with a few boats that can be jumped off of. In the background, you can also see some fireworks going off too. Shortly after, we're then introduced to a market area where drivers can either stick downward inside the marketplace or go on top of the roofs. Then they will make another turn towards yet another split pathway where the BTS SkyTrain is located. Both paths are perfectly fine to take. Personally, I kind of find it easier to stick to the bottom since it's more riskier at the top where there are places to fall. Shortly after, the second lap begins. This time you're treated to a completely new path where you are now being taken to like a downtownish area with many restaurants and hotels. After you leave the downtown area, you'll then be gliding through the giant swing and also passing by the Democracy Monument. Then, after you descend down, you'll be taking a right where dash panels and sidesteppers lie before you make it to your final lap. On your final lap, you'll then be guided once again through the downtown street, but this time instead of going on that glide ramp like you did the previous lap, you will then be taken to a path to the left towards a parking garage. While driving inside this garage, it's a good idea to hold your drift so you can get the most satisfying speed boost from your turbo. Once you made it out of that garage, you'll be hopping on some tents. Have fun with those tricks. The Thai people will be curious to see who's bouncing on their tents. And then afterwards, you're greeted back to the BTS SkyTrain line, kind of like the ending of lap 1. Again, taking the upper or lower path is fine, but upper path tends to be more riskier since you could fall off certain areas, as I say again. And with that though, that's the end of your rush through Bangkok. No pun intended, that's the name of the track. The music's also very suited to Thai culture, and it fits the scene wonderfully. The song actually kind of grew on me the more I listened to it, so I kind of like it. I'm putting this one at a mid-B tier. It isn't the worst city track since it has some form of variety with the branching paths and the cool areas you go to. But again, it was just one that never really stood out to me as much as the other city tracks that I've talked about or am about to talk about. Up next, we got DS Mario Circuit. Why another circuit track? Why? I actually really wanted DS Airship Fortress instead of this course, since Airship Fortress debuted in turn got an incredible remake that looks like this. It's just so saddening to see that it's not coming to Deluxe, despite its huge popularity. But at the same time, I'll tell you the truth right now, I actually don't mind this Mario Circuit. Its music is phenomenal. Amazing, whatever you want to call it. It's the type of music that gives off nostalgia vibes, even though I've never played DS. It's just such an amazing song though. I don't know what it is, but I feel like this song goes well with tambourine drums for whatever reason. I don't know why. Listen to it. But the electronic drums work well here too. So anyways, let's talk about the course. It's your typical circuit track, but it's more challenging than you might think it is. You start out by driving past some Goombas that are waddling on the track. Then you encounter some fire piranha plants that spew fire in your direction. Then you enter a tunnel, and all of a sudden you find yourself inside a deep forest filled with trees. I love this section a lot. It adds a bit of a variety to a lame circuit theming. There's also a sleeping wiggler that will eventually wake up and walk around on the track after a minute and 30 seconds. After you make your way out of the forest, you're nearing the end of your lap, but you're treated to some incredibly tight turns, which are so satisfying to take if you get the right technique. These turns can also be cut off with mushrooms. In fact, this course has a lot of shortcuts that can be taken with mushrooms. It's a shortcut-heavy course. After the 2 tight turns, you have reached the end of your lap. So at the end of the day, it may just be another Mario circuit, but it certainly is a really good one at that. I'm putting this one at a high C tier, since it counts for being another Mario Circuit course, but it does a really good job at being one. Mario Circuits are just not my most favorite track, but this one certainly delivers with what it brings. Oh golly, we got ourselves a banger track! One of my most favorite double dash tracks, Waluigi Stadium! I grew up with this track on the Wii, and since it was a Wii Retro, and it feels so good to have it back. It was a really fun track on the Wii with half pipes everywhere and shortcuts galore, and the music, just a song that I'll always hum whenever I play this course over and over again. Iconic melody. Thank you, Waluigi, for your incredible soundtracks, and most importantly, racetracks.
Oh yeah!
This track retained many of the good things from Wii, but really gave it a nice makeover with incredibly good detailing. I mean, just look at this detailing. Incredible! The mud looks like legit mud in like an actual kart stadium. And you can see the vibrant crowd cheering in the background with their glow sticks in their hands as they cheer you on when you do some tricks. And the mechanical piranha plants also have some cool realistic mud detailing on them too. It arguably is going up against the Mario Kart 8 tracks from the base game because of how good it looks. A lot of time and effort went into designing this one. They kept the half pipes that made this course amazing in Wii, but there are some instances where a half pipe you take unlocks a nice alternate anti-gravity route with coins and speed boosters. It's always a blast at Waluigi Stadium, it really is. I'll give this one an S tier, a low S tier. Just a phenomenal track that really does feel like a chaotic stadium to be in. What a course to bring back. Lastly, we are capping off the Boomerang Cup with another city track. This time we're heading on over to the city of Singapore in Singapore Speedway. A track name that once again follows the rules of alliteration. This one takes place at night. I really do like the nighttime aesthetic with the pretty lights you see all around the city. And we're off on the Speedway. We'll be going on a leisure drive for a few seconds. Before we then get launched up in a cannon to the roof of the Marina Bay Sands Resorts, where the infinity pool lies, with a couple of Goombas just chilling in the pool. After leaving the roof of the resort, we're then gliding all the way back down, passing through some dash rings over the float at Marina Bay, where a soccer stadium is located. Then we're guided back to the starting line to then begin our second lap. We're following the same path like we did from the first lap, but instead of taking a left to go to the cannon again, we're then taking a right to enter Chinatown. It's a very vibrant drive through the sights of Chinatown, I must say. After you leave Chinatown and a few miles of driving, you make it to a fun gliding section where you pass over a huge lake with water geysers going in and out, making for some potential glide tricks. Then comes the biggest surprise, a new starting line to begin your third lap. Immediately as you're beginning your final lap, you'll be treated to some forward and backward moving conveyor belts, and it can get pretty intense, especially if you get hit by items here. You'll then cross over the beautiful Helix Bridge. Then after crossing that Helix Bridge, you'll be taken once again back to the float at Marina Bay, but this time we're going to be gliding right next to Marina Bay Sands Resort. There are dash rings everywhere, but if you choose not to glide, there are also some item boxes down below. You'll once again enter Chinatown, but now backwards compared to how you did in lap 2. And then once you're out of Chinatown, all that's left is a drive to the finish line. Woo! That was quite the speedway, but it certainly is a good one at that. I really like the dynamics this one brought, from the many fun gliding sections to the various pathways you can take in certain sections. It's got it all. And the nighttime aesthetic really sparks this uniqueness factor compared to the daytime cities that we've seen various times. And of course, can't forget about the music. My goodness, this song just goes so hard. It didn't grow on me at first, but after listening to it a bunch of times, I can really dance to it. Overall, well-designed city track, and it deserves a solid A tier. Wave 4 definitely had some incredible tracks, such as DK Summit, Yoshi's Island, and Waluigi Stadium. The waves just keep on getting better and better. Now we move on to the Wave 5 tracks that are in the Feather and Double Cherry Cups. We're going to start things off in the Feather Cup as we got Athens Dash, one of my personal favorite city tracks for a couple of reasons. One, it has a good uniqueness factor. You're not driving inside a city, but more like driving inside ancient ruins and landmarks seen in Athens, Greece. And two, the music. You just know I had to mention the music. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's course's music in general is just amazing, but there are some that catch my attention, such as Athens' music. This course's soundtrack really makes you feel like you've climbed Mount Olympus, and it gives off some nice Hercules vibes. I just love humming this song while I'm racing, and even outside of racing. But let's discuss why it's one of my personal favorites. You'll be starting your race inside of the Parthenon, and then you'll be driving along to the left, where there's a cool split pathway after a wooden ramp. You can either stick to the top of the narrow arches or head on down below. Then you'll be entering an ancient theater, known as the Theater of Dionysus. Then as you exit the theater, you'll be admiring the sights of some cool looking arches. This course really does bring off the ancient ruins theme. And then going underneath the Hadrian's Arch to then take a glide over the cliff tops to a tunnel infested with super bats. A half pipe will also be available to take on your right, which is a cool addition. You'll be then starting your second lap from a different starting arch, as you'll be jumping on ramps over that theater you went by earlier and admiring the sights of the city. You'll be taking lap 1 backwards, but this time you'll then discover a pathway that takes you to the Odeon of Herodes Atticus. You'll be going up that theater, yeah, it's a theater, and once you're up, you'll be taking a right turn up a stairway to a gate that can be tricky to pass through if you're not careful enough. The challenge of this section is incredibly interesting though. Again, I am a huge fan of the ancient ruins theme of this course, and it really comes into picture with how it's designed. Once you enter the Parthenon again, you'll then begin your final lap. You'll be taking a left turn this time to a path you have never taken before. You'll be gliding over some houses and once again admiring the views of the city. As you descend down, you'll be approaching a wide U-bend with a half pipe. Then, item boxes will be circling around some pillars. I just love how the boxes are integrated with this part. You can also spot the statue of Athena way up high too. You'll then be racing up the mountains as you'll be countered with falling boulders. There's also a split path where you can get a double item box, but it isn't any faster than the main path. I like the option though. With yet another satisfying U-bend turn, you'll then be on your way to finishing off this amazing course. Wow, that was a lot of fun. It's nice getting a city course that isn't based on actual city roads, but more focused on driving in the ancient landmarks that are in the city. If I had one complaint though, I kinda wish the graphics of some of the stuff in the distance, like the houses and the trees, were more enhanced. Like, come on, what is this? What are we looking at here? But I mean, can't complain too much. An A-tier track it is. We got a lot of A-tiers, I must say, but I am a lenient grader after all. That is who I am. Most of these tracks have impressed me in some sort of way, whether it's aesthetics, or layout, or music. There's always that one thing that will always hard carry it to make it amazing. Now moving on to another favorite of mine, Daisy Cruiser from Mario Kart Double Dash. We're driving on top of Daisy's cruise ship, and it's such an incredible and creative idea for a racetrack, as we get to discover the sights of what's going on that ship. Goombas are taking a swim in the swimming pool. The guests are in the dining room going back and forth and getting seasick. There's a split pathway where you can go inside the deep basement of her cruise ship to encounter some clampies and spectators cheering for you, and also nab some item boxes. Or you can stick upward as you exit the interior of the ship. This course certainly brings it all. So happy it made a return to Deluxe, since I really enjoyed my time playing this track in Mario Kart Tour. The music is just as great. I grew up with Peach Beach, a retro track in Mario Kart Wii, and it shares the same music as Daisy Cruiser, and my goodness, this song just gives me goosebumps. I would honestly play this song if I would go on a cruise ship one day, you know? Beautiful work, Mario Kart bands. This will be joining the A-tier tracks. Great addition to the Booster Course Pass. Oh my goodness! That's the Wii Moonview Highway theme! Let's go! I was genuinely so happy seeing this track finally making a return. And it's getting a remix as godly as this! Wow, the big band does not disappoint at all. The intro, my goodness! It just goes so hard! And the Moonview Highway theme from its origin, the Wii, just never grew on me when I first played the Special Cup. But now, I appreciate this song more than ever now! There's also the city variant of this song, and that's also equally godly. jazz works so well in the city, and the Eurobeat fits the scene while you're driving along the highway with the view of the moon. Just wow! Incredible soundtrack all around, city and out. Incredible! But enough talking about the godly soundtrack. I gotta chill. Let's now talk about the actual track. I remember this track greatly from the Wii, and they kept the many things that made it awesome. From the gorgeous sights of driving by the lake with the moon shining bright, the alternate path that you could take from the beginning, which now has double item boxes, and of course the exhilarating highway drive through the bright city with dash panels everywhere. I was just so impressed seeing this track finally making a return after all these years. It had only gotten remade in Tour, and then I remember 2 weeks after it debuted in Tour, they announced the Wave 5 trailer and showcased this course out of surprise. Moonview Highway now finally gets the recognition it truly deserves. But despite all the good things I've said about it, I have one minor complaint to make. In the Wii version, the cars made some crazy lane changes, and there are at times so many cars that they would pose a challenge to actually dodge them. I just kind of wished in this version that there would be more traffic to make it a bit more challenging, since now the cars are easier to dodge. But at least they did not forget the iconic bomb cars. Gosh, I hated these things when I played this course as a kid on the Wii. I was just so scared of bumping into one of them. Ah, those were the days. Moonview Highway, always have my vote for being an A tier track. It's just not there at S tier yet, if only there was more traffic in the city section to spice up the difficulty. We're not complaining a single bit, especially after hearing that eargasm of a soundtrack. My goodness, it's amazing. Okay, let's move on now. Coming up next, the final course in the Feather Cup is the bathroom-themed track everyone knows and loves, Squeaky Clean Sprints. There was an incredible amount of hype surrounding this track as soon as it got revealed in a trailer, and I could definitely understand this hype. When I first started playing this course, I was like, wow, we're actually driving inside someone's bathroom? And I was like, okay, this is going to be a really interesting one. Let us walk through my lap around this course. We start out by driving inside a flooded sink. That's pretty cool already. And we're passing by actual objects the person kept in the bathroom, such as a radio player, drink can, hairbrush, toothpaste, etc. Then we take a jump into a flooded bathtub, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. There was a Mario rubber ducky and Goomba float toy inside, and also some bath bombs and a Mega Cheap Cheap. And apparently that person dropped a couple of toothbrushes inside their flooded bathtub? Oof! Oh boy. But next, oh my goodness, we're going inside the drainage system of this very bathtub. And it genuinely gave me the, quote, ew vibes. We're getting pushed by the current of the water that's getting sucked into the drain. And what I find interesting is the amount of stuff this person lost, and it got stuck inside this drain. Such as a few screws and even a ring out of all objects. That ring also consists of double item boxes, so it makes for a good use to just go through it if you have like a mushroom. As you're getting pushed by the water current, you'll then finally find an exit out of that disgusting drain. Time to make some more discoveries of what's around us. So I see a bunch of bar soaps, a giant fan blowing air, a blue suitcase, probably indicating that this person is probably planning on going on a road trip, a Blooper branded cleaning supply, a mushroom mirror, and much more. There's also a half pipe you can take as you're getting pushed by the fan's wind. And there's a lot of soapy suds lying on the floor, as it makes for a slippery time indeed. After that, you'll then be gliding over a toilet. Yes, literally over the toilet. I can only imagine if someone tried to snipe you while you're gliding over. Oh golly, the feeling of that. The toilet will eventually be spewing disgusting toilet water, but it proves to be useful despite how disgusting it is, since it opens up an upward shelf path that is considerably faster than the bottom path you would normally take if you didn't use the toilet water geyser. I do strongly advise that your mind has to be set about winning the race and not about how disgusting something is, despite what many might think about the toilet geyser. It's such a cool gimmick and super useful to use to your advantage for the top shelf path. If you do take the top shelf path, you definitely have a tighter turn than the bottom path, but there are no guardrails to the sides of where you go, so make sure you don't fall off while you're up there. You'll then be gliding towards the finish line shortly after, faster than the ones who took the bottom path. If it was your second lap when you took the upper shelf path, then you can glide continuously and discover some secret alternative paths that you cannot access if you did not go on the upper path. Wow, this course is full of surprises everywhere. It's genuinely amazing what Nintendo can do to make such a creative idea of a track actually work out wonderfully. I wish I could dig even more deep into the many surprises this course has, but it would definitely be a little too much, considering this video is already long enough. But wow, this course is amazing. What a course. This track deserves an automatic ticket to join the S tiers. From the various alternative paths, incredible layout, and just next level creativity that went into making this track. It honestly just checked all of the boxes. Heck, even the music sounds pretty good too. Music's so good. What a course. What a course this is. The Feather Cup was a splendiferous cup with 3 A-tier tracks and an S-tier track to cap it all off. But now we gotta take a look at the courses in the Double Cherry Cup. Let's see what we got. Kicking things off in this cup, we got Los Angeles Laps. I'm a California native, and it feels great getting some California representation in this booster course pass. I live in the Bay Area specifically, but Los Angeles works too. Let's see how it plays out. We start off on the Santa Monica Pier, and then we're driving alongside Santa Monica State Beach. There's a bunch of skateboard ramps you can take a jump off of, and also a half pipe you can take too. It's just nicer driving by the ocean side and seeing a few sidesteppers walking back and forth too. Once you leave the beach, you're then back on the main road. And here's where one of the main criticisms for this track comes though. Los Angeles is a very populated city. So why did they not include some form of traffic and make the streets so empty? I'm sorry, but this is actually really disappointing. As someone who has lived in this state for my entire life, it just would have been cool just including some traffic to make it really feel like Los Angeles. But now it feels like something other than LA if I didn't even know what the name of the track was. Then you pass underneath a bridge and you glide through the famous Dodger Stadium. After you make it across, there is a shroom shortcut you can take, but then after that, it's just some open road. This is kind of where I wish some cars took place and to add a little bit of a challenge, otherwise this segment just can get a little bit boring. Then lastly, we entered the Inglewood oil field to start off our third lap, out of all places too. But I guess it works to make for a challenging final lap, especially since there are many split pathways to make way for a wake-up call after a boring second lap. As you're passing through the oil field, there's a glider ramp in the dirt, and you can take it so you can collect some item boxes that exist inside some dash rings in the air. Once you leave the oil field, you're then guided back inside the city and then going over the bridge you once crossed under earlier, and then with a couple of turns, you're then guided back to the Santa Monica Pier to finish your race. Also, the music is really good. It brings the nice California vibes. So, the music's pretty good too. So there are many great positives, but the negatives of this track consisting of long straightaways with no traffic to make it challenging whatsoever, it's just disappointing to me. And we don't drive into the Hollywood Hills. I just really wanted to see that play out. There was a lot of missed potential to an otherwise solid track. I'm gonna put this one with the other B-tier tracks. It's not the absolute worst with what it brings, but definitely I wish it could have brought more to spice things up. Ooh, Sunset Wilds. Ah, nice! I can't wait to see the sunsets! Yay! Yeah, this is one of my favorite Super Circuit tracks, Sunset Wilds I'm talking about. And it's because of the amazing visuals of feeling like you're in the wilderness. The incredibly catchy country music. And even greeting some Explorer Shy Guys in the midst of the race. I like those Shy Guys, they're really cool. You can even steal cash from them too if you like to snipe them with the shell. That's funny. But there is one Achilles heel to this track that you just cannot forgive, despite all the great things I said about it and how much I really like it. Ah, nice! I can't wait to see the sunsets! Yay! Wait, what? Where did it go? Where the f*** is the sunsets? Is the sun glued to the sky permanently? What happened here? It doesn't make sense at all! This could be a reason because of how the light engine works in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but if Mario Kart 2 can apply the sunset gimmick, why can't this game? Oh look, the sun's setting. Look at this, guys. Look at that, the sky just changed. It is so frustrating seeing one of my favorite GBA tracks get one of the greatest things that made it stand out removed completely. And it also has a very simple layout compared to some of the other GBA tracks that are in this game right now. What they did to this track is absolutely abysmal and utterly unacceptable. How could they? The fact that even after Wave 6 released, and they never updated it to potentially maybe add a sunset effect, is super pathetic! I'm sorry, adorable Shy Guys, you guys did not deserve this harshness I gave to your track. It honestly feels awesome just driving in the open wilderness, and I really do like the music too. I'm usually not harsh with the track, since I tend to be a very lenient ranker. You notice that most of the courses that I've ranked so far are in high tiers, because I'm an easygoing guy, giving everyone good ranks and good grades. But unfortunately, despite all the good vibes I've had from the other tracks that I've talked about, this one deserves an F tier, and I mean deserves! There's no fucking sunset in a course that's called Sunset Wilds! Why even bother calling it by that name at that point? And let alone having the most simplest layout out of any fucking GBA track in the entire game. F this course. We're moving on. I need to rethink life after that rant. Thank goodness Koopa Cape comes after. Ah, Koopa Cape, Wii Koopa Cape, a course that everyone loves because of how exhilarating it is. But hot take, I kind of think this course is overrated. Now that doesn't mean this course is necessarily bad by any means, but it's just people talk about this track way too much and sometimes forget about the other Wii tracks that exist in this game, that are just as good in their own rights too, such as DK Summit and Maple Treeway. But at the same time, I'm so happy Koopa Cape is in this game. It debuted in Tours, so it had a really good chance of coming in. And indeed it did in Wave 5. So let's talk about that track, shall we? First things first, we can't start off this conversation about Koopa Cape without talking about its music. It's a true banger. It will always be a catchy melody that I will be humming while I'm racing or while I'm not racing too. Like, the music is so good. We begin our journey on a cliffside by the ocean waters of the island. There's a waterfall above us pouring water. We'll be greeting that later on. As we're traversing the cliffside, we encounter some Goombas and even some jump ramps we can take to get some speed boosts. But definitely I remember these from the Wii, and some of them is not worth going for since it's at the edge of the cliff and you can easily fall off if you don't pull it off correctly. Then there's a direct left turn, but there's also a half pipe you can take with item boxes you can obtain. After you take that abrupt left turn, all of a sudden you're going on a rushing river. The music suddenly changes too, and things get intense. You can definitely have a whale of a good time while on this rushing river. Then as you're continuing on that river and going down that waterfall you saw earlier, yes, that's the same waterfall, you now enter a warp pipe that takes you completely underwater into the ocean waters, and this is where things get really interesting. You get to see what surrounds you in the underwater atmosphere, like spotting some cheeps, eels, and even spotting some scuba diving toads. The music once again changes, but to a more relaxing, soothing, underwaterish theme. This section is also anti-gravity, and there are also some spin boost pillars you can hit. And there's also a half pipe you can take, but the thing I missed the most, especially since I grew up with the Wii version, was the electric spinners that tried to electrify you as you tried to pass them. That was a unique element that has been stuck in only the Wii version of this track, and it sucks that they are not in this game, but at least the anti-gravity makes for a nice change indeed. After you leave the underwater pipe, you're then shot out of a ramp back onto the main road, heading back to the cliff sides. You can also take another half pipe with a gorgeous sighting of the waterfalls. By the way, you can drive in this waterfall. It's not overly strong like it was in the Wii. If you went in this same waterfall in the Wii version, you were instantly getting sent down into the water for a respawn. And with that, that's the end of this track. Overall, really solid to bring this one back to this game, and I think it deserves a solid A tier. Even if my opinions of it being overrated stand, I still always have a good time playing this track. The only reason it's not S though, was I kind of wished it had the base game graphics, you know, like Mario Kart 8's graphics is really good. Booster Course Pass kind of lacks in that. But overall, not complaining a single bit. It's Koopa Cape at the end of the day. Banger track. We have now reached the end of the Double Cherry Cup with a city track I was so hyped for when it got revealed in the Wave 5 trailer. Vancouver Velocity! First things first, I've got to comment on the track name. Just like Berlin Byways, Sydney Sprint, Singapore Speedway, London Loop, and Paris Promenade, this is another one of those tracks that follows the rule of alliteration. But I think this one is the coolest ones out of the ones I've mentioned. Just saying, quote, Vancouver Velocity automatically makes this track really cool. But is it cool gameplay and music-wise? Well, let's find out. I'll just tell you right now, the main reason why I was so hyped for this track coming to Wave 5 was because of the incredible soundtrack it has. My goodness, this song is amazing. It just gives me goosebumps, and I always love vibing out to it. Let's talk about the track, shall we? The roads you're driving on are going to be a little bit damp, because Vancouver is well known for its common precipitation during winter times. And I thought this was a nice little detail to have. And we're driving off in this velocity. You start out by going underneath the Vancouver Olympics cauldron, which looked absolutely stunning from what you saw in the track preview. Then you'll be going up high, entering the slopes of a snowy mountain as you're about to go on the Capilano Suspension Bridge. And this part of the track is a lot of fun. Snow will start to continuously fall. The Aurora Borealis shines in the background, and it's just a wonderful pathway to be on in general because of how intense it gets with items and falling off. The most intense part of the bridge is going to be in anti-gravity. But then after you cross the bridge, you'll be gliding back down to the Vancouver Convention Center, back to where you began to start off the second lap. On your second lap, you'll then be going on a nice leisurely pathway into the Stanley Park, with the Lost Lagoon located on your left. And after passing through the park, you'll then be greeted to a glider ramp. You'll then be gliding inside an ice arena, but not just any arena. Rogers Arena! That's right. The place where the Vancouver Canucks from the NHL play, and where some of the 2010 Winter Olympic events were hosted. Entering Rogers Arena was the most shocking thing that I witnessed when I first played this variant of the track in Tour, and seeing it in HD and Deluxe just looks stupendous. There are Shy Guys skating around the rink, and they make for some good obstacles too. You'll then be guided to an exit out of the arena, and shortly after, you'll then begin your final lap. Unlike in laps 1 and 2 where you take a ride and go underneath the Olympics cauldron, you'll be going straight this time inside the Massey Tunnel. There are some swooper bats lurking around inside the tunnel, so make sure you watch out for those guys. After you exit the tunnel, it's just a drive through downtown Vancouver. Then you're once again guided back to the entrance of Rogers Arena, and this time you're then guided to a different exit route. This route will take you on a few more turns, but will eventually guide you to the finish line in the end. And that's the velocity. While this track is a blast and the music is amazing, along with the gorgeous aesthetics that are seen all around, there's one major criticism that I have for this track that is preventing it from being one of the higher ranked tracks. The 3 variants of this track are not well organized, and the track has a very anticlimactic ending. I kind of understand why they did it in this format, since they went in order from the first variant to then the second variant to then the third variant. But what started out from you going crazy on the suspension bridge to then leisurely driving through the downtown streets just doesn't feel right to put this up any higher based on like the formatting of how those laps played out. So with that criticism out of the way, I'm putting this at a B tier. If only the first variant of the track was the final lap of the track, and the third variant was this first lap of the track, and the second stays at second, it would have made so much more sense. Oh well, it's still Vancouver. I like the track though, regardless. Wow, we made it this far. If you made it this far, congratulations. We're now finally going to cover the final 8 tracks in the Booster Course Pass. The Wave 6 tracks. The tracks in the Acorn and Spiny Cup. Here we go! To start things off in the Wave 6 lineup, we have Tour Rome Avanti, one of the most complex layouts out of all the city tracks in the entire game. Just look at the mini-map, it just looks so hectic. Yeah, Wave 6 has a lot of difficult but fun tracks, so this will be cool to analyze. This is once again another city track that takes place at night, and this is a beautiful looking night track, I must say. From the wonderful skybox to the buildings shining bright, it's got a lot going on to make it stand out. Heck, even the music fits the scene wonderfully. It just sounds so Italian, which I really like. I like it when city songs have their music match the scene nicely. Now we go onwards to describe the layout of the track. I said onwards because avanti in Italian means onwards. Very creative track name indeed. We first start out on a wonderfully textured cobblestone pathway. It just looks so realistic, which I absolutely like. And the starting line resembles the Pantheon. I guess that's why it looks pretty dope too. We're greeted with the wonderful sights of iconic and ancient buildings, and of course the most notable one being the Rome Colosseum. The drivers will be taking a drift through this famous landmark, and once they reach the top of it, they'll be taking a dash panel jump to the outside. As you approach a turn, there's an arch pathway you can go underneath with a mushroom, which is a cool shortcut. Then you enter the Capitoline Square, and then enter a small market area. Honestly, the main theme of this track is there are a lot of tight turns, and I mean a ton of them. We're just getting started with those. You then finally reach a cool straightaway where you encounter a split pathway that both go in the same direction. There are rocky wrenches going in and about the ground, and this marks the only course to ever include rocky wrenches. You can also spot a circle of fuzzies looping around a designated circle. You'll be seeing them again soon. Anyways, after that section, you're then taken back to the starting line to then start lap 2. Instead of going in the direction of the Colosseum, you're directed to the right, and actually you might run into racers that are really far behind. which is kind of hilarious, but I guess it adds to the already challenging layout that you have to deal with. Because my goodness, I once again say, you're going on drifts constantly. This is a course where it really does feel like you're in the city of Rome. Rome in general is full of narrow, windy roads, and it definitely shows its identity as you're playing along. The drivers will eventually be climbing up some steps and then enter a lovely garden area with an amazing sighting of the full moon. Shortly after you make it through the garden area, you'll be reaching an area where once again, if racers are far behind, they might run into you, which might cause some interesting havoc. Then after that, you'll be guided back to the starting line to start your third lap. Instead of going straight or taking a right, you'll this time be taking a left into the direction of the magnificent Trevi Fountain. My goodness, it looks so good in this game. After passing a few buildings, you'll encounter a warning sign. A chain chomp sign. Wow, we hadn't seen a warning sign since Wave 1. What happened throughout all these waves of not having warning signs? It's kind of weird. Well, they finally included one, at last, and it has a chain chomp on it. Now, why does it have a chain chomp on it? Well, as you enter the Colosseum, you'll then notice 2 chain chomps are guarding you, and they will surprise you out of nowhere, and they try to chomp you too. What a great addition to the Colosseum, I must say. After you leave the Colosseum, you'll be taking a bunch of tight turns, the common theme of this course, and then make your way back to the Capitoline Square, and you're going to be essentially following the same route you took when you did lap 1, except this time in the open area, which is actually known as the Piazza Novana. You now have the option of taking a glider to go above those pesky rocky wrenches, but also at the same time you do have to dodge those fuzzies, the fuzzies you saw earlier, and they make for a great obstacle. After you make it past Piazza Navona, one final time, you made it to the end. Sorry, I meant to say Navona earlier. While I do think the aesthetics look stunning and incredible, the incredibly challenging layout can definitely be unpleasant for many. I can definitely understand why many would put this track on lower ranks in their tier lists, but me personally, I think it's pretty solid at what it does with its layout and aesthetics. And the music just goes perfectly with the tracks, so I'll be putting Rome Avanti at B tier. We just went onwards, y'all. No pun intended. Ah, the sights of this beautiful mountain have returned. I was so thrilled to see Double Dash DK Mountain make its return to this game. And it settles the debate for which Double Dash Jungle themed course was gonna make the cut. Dino Dino Jungle or DK Mountain. And in the end, it was DK Mountain. There are many reasons why I wanted this track over Dino Dino Jungle. One, of course, the nostalgia. It's a Wii retro. And this course was pretty darn good on the Wii. And 2, it has a layout similar to DK Summit, which is a goated track, by the way. You get shot out of a DK barrel cannon up into the high elevations, and you'll be going on a journey to ascend downhill. This is also now the 3rd course in the Booster Course Pass from Mario Kart Wii to have a barrel cannon used for being launched, the other 2 being Maple Treeway and DK Summit. So now, let's talk about one of my favorite Double Dash tracks. First off, there are DK barrels? Okay, this track is already getting a lot of bonus points because of those. What an addition! DK barrels. We noticed the big DK cannon sign as we're drifting left, knowing what to prepare for. As we get launched from that cannon, we notice the angry volcano looks more angrier than ever. This is my favorite version of the angry face on that volcano. Gosh, it just feels like a wallpaper photo worth having. And it would say, I went flying to the DK Mountain and greeted the angry volcano as I was flying. It just looks so realistic, and I absolutely love the attention to detail with the red flares in its face. As you've made it to the top of the mountain, you'll then be tasked to going back down. But it's definitely not going to be boring, that's a fact for sure. Especially as you're descending downhill, you get a splendiferous view of the jungle atmosphere around you. It once again can be like a wallpaper saying, I made it to the top of the DK Mountain, and sent you a photo of the view atop the peak. Also, something new for this version, the jump ramps are now engraved from the mountain, instead of there being wood panels acting as ramps. That's a cool little detail, I must say. And also, more DK barrels. Can't go wrong with them DK barrels. Gotta love them. I just don't know why Donkey Kong had the audacity of putting them all the way up here though. Oh well, he owns this mountain. He can do whatever he wants with it. The famous Flying Rock halfpipe section is the next thing you'll encounter. There are some halfpipes to the far ends of the track, but you have to be careful as you traverse downhill since these rolling rocks are troublesome obstacles indeed. After you cross the rocky section of the mountain, you're now starting to gradually enter lower elevations compared to where you started. You then encounter a wide turn around a deep pit where rocks are falling. You can either go around or do a gap cut over it. The gap cut can be a bit tricky, but with practice, you could definitely pull it off. With a few U-bend turns, you then make it to the final stretch of the track, which involves a wavy, narrow wooden bridge. It's so gosh darn easy to fall off in this section, so make sure you don't have any enemies attacking you while you're on it. And after you cross that bridge, you've just completed a lot from atop the mountain to back down the mountain. This course is just so incredible. It's a fan favorite for a reason. The music too was always so catchy and something I hummed to a lot when I played this track back on the Wii, and this live band version of the song takes it to a whole other level. With the cool sound of jungle drums to the flautists going off in certain portions of the song. What a remix, what a remix. DK Mountain is proud to join the other S tier tracks. Just an amazing looking track with wallpaper photos you can take. But just the journey you go from up the mountain to down the mountain is just what makes this course so good. Wow, what a course.
Oh yeah! Daisy!
That's right, Daisy. Daisy Circuit is next.
There we go!
Yup, she said it. Daisy herself. This is Wii Daisy Circuit, one of my favorite circuit tracks in Mario Kart history. I was so surprised seeing this track make a return after seeing it in the first Wave 6 trailer. I knew it debuted in Tour at some point, and knowing that the Booster Course Pass's intention is to store most of Tour's content. But I truly was not expecting this course to make a return, considering there are a lot of other courses that could have been picked. I may be biased from Wii, but come on, this course is it takes place at Golden Hour. Like, you can't go wrong with that. And there's really cute Daisy Luigi statues. This is just not your typical circuit course. It's a really good one. And also, when I first heard the live band version of this song, I legit got goosebumps. Like, I got the chills hearing that song. Such a beautiful masterpiece of a soundtrack. The flute was a wonderful addition once again. Wii soundtracks just really peaked, I must say. But the Mario Kart 8 live band just gave it the absolute justice it deserves. But now let's talk about why I love this circuit track so much. First off, this course takes place at Golden Hour, once again I say. And I'm a huge sucker for a good sunset sky. I love sunsets. Except you! You are not a sunset course!
Boo!
Oh, this is the Daisy Circuit section. My bad. We take a turn into the circuit's town area where we uncover a piranha plant cutout, where if we crash ourselves into it, we discover a glider? Yeah, this was a huge change from the Wii version. I really like this change a lot since it gives this track a nice modern addition. You're then either gliding or driving around two Daisy Luigi themed statues. The iconic statue portion, it just feels so romantic as you're passing by them. After the statue area, you then enter the tunnel. And once you head on out, you get a splendiferous view of the lighthouse with the sunset sky as an incredible backdrop. There's also a jump ramp that got added here too. You'll then reach the lighthouse bend, where in this version of the track, there will be 4 boost panels you'll be gliding on. Or you could drive wide on the sidewalk so you can be safe from other racers. Having the 2 options is nice though. As you're driving around the lighthouse, you then see the Daisy Candy billboard as you're about to take your final left turn before you finish your lap around this amazing circuit course with the crowd cheering you on. I was really impressed by this track and was just shocked and surprised seeing it in the first Booster Course Pass trailer. Now I do say it was a strange decision putting Wii Daisy Circuit after Double Dash DK Mountain, since DK Mountain is notably harder than Daisy Circuit, but I mean, I can't complain. We got both of them in this game. This is going in the A tier. A really solid addition to the 8 Deluxe lineup. Daisy Circuit, take a bow.
Oh, yeah!
To close the show in the Acorn Cup, we got Piranha Plant Cove. I really wanted this track to come from Mario Kart Tour since it just looked stunning in that game. And like, it just felt like an adventure through the ancient ruins. And my goodness, they went hard on the visual department. Just look at these pictures that I'm showing you right now. It just looks so majestic. I honestly had dreamed of thoughts one day of me wanting to visit the Piranha Plant Cove. And I wished it was a real place. But now let's talk about the actual track. You'll be starting out underwater. And that's going to be the common theme of this track, driving underwater. You'll then be going up a rock stairway outside of the water with Petey Piranha statues on the sides. And oh yeah, once again, another course taking place at gorgeous nighttime. We started the cup with a nighttime themed course and are ending off the cup with another nighttime themed course. How fitting. You'll then be taking a deep dive back into the water again. And honestly, it's kind of fun as you slowly sink down onto the underwater trail. There's a lot of life down here with corals, cheeps, and even scuba toads. You'll then be leaving the water once again to greet a split pathway that combines into one path. Then you uncover some munching piranha plants, with one of them posing as a threat. It makes for a great obstacle indeed. And oh yeah, they are huge supporters of cannibalism. After that overwater section, you'll then be taking a glide back into the water. But in the process, gotta enjoy that glorious view from atop the glider. It looks so cool. Once you're back in the water, you'll be treated to a few turns before finally finishing off your first lap. That was a very long first lap too. Probably one of the longest ones we've seen so far. As you go the same direction on your second lap, you notice the red arrows are now pointing to a completely different direction. Yeah, fun fact, this is the first Tour Nitro track to have different variants. I knew it was going to be a different variant since I've played its variants in Tour, and I know that this track has 3 different variants. This left turn will take us to a gorgeous arch or temple, whatever you want to call it, and this portion brings just those ancient ruins vibes to the picture. You go in and out of the water and once again reach the portion where you go deep into the water. Where you then discover underwater thwomps. The first course to ever bring thwomps underwater. Oh my god. They're placed behind boost panels and they make for great obstacles. Shortly after, you then take one turn to make it back to the start and then begin your final lap. Yeah, that lap was considerably shorter than the first one. But now the final lap, you'll be going deep underwater, as you'll discover the sights to explore down into the Twilight Zone. There are some sunken treasures, ship ruins, clampies, etc. And you can even spot a mare eel swimming around too. There are some underwater geysers you can drive into and do tricks from as well. Then once you go deeper underwater, you can then discover the mare's lair, and he'll try to stop you in your tracks if you get too close to him. Once you're out of the deep water zone, the finish line is shortly in sight to cap off your incredible journey through the Piranha Plant Cove. One thing to note though, its music has really grown on me. It wasn't a song that caught my attention entirely when I first played this track in Tour, but I really love songs that fit the scene of the course nicely, and this does just that once again. This track is essentially kind of like a sequel to Thwomp Ruins, if you put it that way, but just takes it to another level, honestly. I really love both tracks too, both Thwomp Ruins and Piranha Plant Cove. This is going into the A tier once again. This track just looks stunning, but if only there weren't so many long underwater sections. I feel like they could have had like a blend of both overwater and underwater sections to balance it out. Or maybe have like a setting where this track alternates weather settings. I mean, I had that thought once where like one time if you play this track, it's gonna be raining, like in Neo Bowser City it rains. But then next time you play, it's a clear night. I feel like a rain setting would have suited this track nicely, not gonna lie. It would have looked so cool, because I love the rain. 3DS Neo Bowser City is the only rainy course in this game, just saying, come on. There's gotta be some other rainy day track. But I mean, I can't complain. This is just another one of those good tracks. We got a lot of A-tier tracks, I must say. The Acorn Cup had some amazing tracks. I kind of wish Daisy Circuit and DK Mountain swapped spots. Oh well, we got both of them, not complaining. Now, let's check out the final cup in the Booster Course Pass. The Spiny Cup.
La ciudad de Madrid es muy bueno. Plaza Mayor, el Museo Nacional de Prado, el Estadio Santiago Bernabéu y mucho más. La canción también es muy hermosa.
Los instrumentos utilizados son castañuelas, violín, pandereta y por supuesto la guitarra. Es muy magnífico.
¿Por qué estoy hablando español ahora mismo?
I'm sorry, I took 3 years of Spanish when I was in high school. I like the language a lot. Anyways, Madrid Drive. It's one of my most favorite city tracks in this game. I mentioned earlier how much I really like Vancouver, but I think this one takes the cake. The soundtrack, muy fenomenal. Spanish music is amazing, and I'm so happy that there's a Mario Kart themed Spanish song. And it delivers. The instruments used in this song, from the castanets to the acoustic guitars, it just brings the flamenco vibes really well. So after that long intro, let's now dive into the track layout. Vámonos de viaje por Madrid. Oh yeah, also if you guys are curious why I'm using Rosalina P-Wing, because this was the first ever combo I've ever used when I played Madrid Drive on Mario Kart Tour. I did Swimwear Rosalina with P-Wing. And I just felt like I wanted to use this combo just for fun, because it was like the first combo I've ever used for Madrid Drive. Also, another reason why I used Rosalina was because she has the most Spanish sounding name out of all the Mario characters. Rosalina. Just sounds muy perfecto. Okay, let's actually continue now on our viaje through Madrid. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, adelante! As you're being set off on your journey, you'll hear the incredible soundtrack get going as it works so well. You'll be going on a drive through the streets of the city. No pun intended when I mentioned drive, because it's the name of the course.
Bruh.
As you're driving along, you'll be entering Plaza Mayor, where a bunch of Toads and Yoshis are chilling and watching the racers pass by, but also a sleeping Wiggler in the middle of the plaza. Kinda like the one in DS Mario Circuit. I'm so happy they included the Wiggler in the plaza, because in Tour's version of the track, they had the Wigglers. So Wigglers get the W. After exiting the plaza, you'll then be entering a train station with munching piranha plants. Shortly after, you'll be guided to the Prado Museum, and boy oh boy did I wish this section was extended. If you're doing time trials, do so check out the beautiful paintings that are inside the museum. And the music changes too once you're inside the museum. After that section, you're then greeted back to the incredible looking starting line to then start the second lap. You'll then be guided to the right this time, and you'll be crossing underneath a viaduct and then taking a turn towards a market area invaded with thwomps. Then going back into Plaza Mayor, where the Toads and Yoshis will be seeing these guys again. But this time, the Wiggler woke up, and it's now roaming around the plaza to try to stop the racers in his tracks. After some road, you then make it to a beautiful park with a large pond with water geysers erupting sometimes. Afterwards, you'll be taking a left turn and going through a gates, and shortly after, the starting line will return again to then start the final lap. On your final lap, you'll be going on a true city drive while hearing the final lap version of the song. It just works so well, honestly. There are 2 Goombas you will encounter as you're driving along, and then shortly after, my favorite part of the track comes. Going inside the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium to play some soccer with Shoe Goombas. It's only for a short time once again, but wow, is it worth visiting. The crowd will also cheer for you when you exit the stadium, and it makes for an amazing conclusion to this epic drive around La Ciudad de Madrid. Sorry, I can't roll my R's. Wow, what a journey. What a journey. My only complaint though with this track can be occasional long straightaways where not much is going on despite the thrilling journey you are going on. And the track name itself. I kind of did a small rant when I played the tour that debuted this track in Mario Kart Tour. They should have called it Madrid Motorways or Madrid Marathon, something like that. Alliteration would have worked well with a track like this. Madrid Drives just low-key kind of sounds lame to an otherwise exhilarating track. So with that, I'm putting Madrid at about a high A tier. The music just honestly hard carried it up here. I just love the song so much. Gracias, Mario Kart!
Oh, yeah! Let's go!
No, not let's go.
Aw, no.
Yeah, you'll know what I mean, Rosalina. You'll see why I am feeling like this about your track.
Oh, boy.
Well, sorry about that, Rosalina. She was also a little too excited for her track, kind of like with Peach and Daisy earlier. So we go from an amazing track like Madrid Drive, or should I say Madrid Drive?
Bruh.
Sorry. To start off the Spiny Cup, to a pathetic one. Buckle up, everyone. 3DS Rosalina's Ice World is gonna be a fun one indeed. Yeah, fun fact, I am a Rosalina's Ice World hater. But for a few reasons that you might not expect. Let's just go over the track and the good things about it before I do my rants.
Oh, no!
Okay, love you lots, Rosalina, but I need to now talk about your track and my opinions on it. You're greeted with the Comet Observatory from Super Mario Galaxy at the start, and some spectators as well. And right off the bat, the tiled floor goes away. You'll be slipping and sliding on snow and ice for the whole race, and it's a long course too. There's a very long icy turn that has a bottomless pit to the right, and one wrong input with your drift, and you'll be slipping into the abyss. This part already sucks, to a course that sucks a lot. At least if you stayed on the ice and held your drift the whole turn, you could charge up an Ultra Mini Turbo and get a very good boost. But then there's, icicles. Icicles. More on that later. Then there's half pipes, and fun fact, this is the first time a Mario Kart 7 course features half pipes. After that, you're treated to the most boring section of the track, in which there is a way where you can go either on top of the ice floating above the pond, or go into the freezing water. I have hypothermia just thinking about deciding. Ugh. Some penguins will also be waddling or swimming around too. Then after that is one of my least favorite sections of the map. I've had a lot of least favorites, but this part is by far the worst. You enter an extremely icy cave and there are icicles everywhere, above and below, and even acting as obstacles too. Here's something I have to admit to you guys right now. I have an unfathomable hate for icicles. For whatever reason. I do. I hate icicles. It's the most stupidest thing to hate, but I hate them. I hate how sharp and pointy they are and how cold they can be. They just look so scary and dangerous. Ugh. Just look at these pictures of live icicles. Ugh. I don't know if you get the same sensitivity as I do, but I'm really sensitive to these things. Bumping into one of them will slow you down, but that's beyond my point. I just have a terrible inner fear of icicles, and seeing one of them will probably have me thinking of thoughts of clenching my throat in fear and shivering, even when playing this course while on an 80-degree summer day. Moving on though. At some point in this icy cave, there's a split pathway. One path with boost panels directly over a bottomless pit. Man, they really want you to fall down this track, don't they? And another path that is longer but has coins and surroundings around the pits. Then after taking a dash panel, you will finally leave the icy cave. Thank God! And then be greeted with a mushroom shortcut to your left. Or if you don't have a mushroom, you can drive around too. But with that, that marks the end of your lap around the ice world of Rosalina.
Woohoo!
Rosalina, you are a beautiful person, but your track sucks so much. The good things about this track: 1, the music. The music for a course like this is actually really good. Actually, it's really catchy and I can head bop to it wonderfully. And I guess the challenge it brings, it is one of the more challenging tracks in the game after all, so I guess I see why they brought it in Wave 6. But with that, the good things from me now come to an end. Time for rants.
Oh!
Warning. This is my Rosalina's Ice World rants. This track sucks. It sucks. It just feels way too similar to many of the other ice tracks we already have in this game. Like Sherbert Land, Snow Land, Mount Wario. Heck, you can add DK Summit in there too. DK Summit's an S+ track. It's just way too boring and actually sometimes really frustrating, considering you have to deal with stupid ice physics while trying to take turns around abysses and frozen cave walls. But if that wasn't enough for me to say that this course is utterly bad, I think, in my respective opinion, my unusual and ridiculous hate for icicles will sell it for me. Now, don't go in the comments saying Ario likes DK Summit but hates ice. Well, at least DK Summit stayed away from the idea of including icicles, but Rosalina's Ice World unfortunately falls into that trap, along with a very lame layout. I swear to God, if the developers were crazy enough to make icicles fall from the tops of the cave down onto the racers to hurt them, I would have lost my legit mind. This will be going into the D tier. By far the worst track from Mario Kart 7 ever. I never want to like this track. Never, ever, ever. I never want to show feelings for this track. Never, ever, ever. I never want to blow.
Aw. Oh no!
Never, ever, ever. None of that. I never want to do any of this stuff with this track. It is cold, frigid, icy, empty, boring, depressing, everything. This track sucks. This track sucks. This track sucks. This track sucks. I deeply apologize if I made anybody emotional in the process of me ranting and putting some depressing music in the background. Well, one thing's for sure, the positives I can take away from Rosalina's Ice World are its amazing music. The music that's playing right now, by the way, not the one that I played before. I'll put a link in the description of what that music is. And honestly, just the challenge it brings. Other than that, I never have fun playing this track. That's the bottom line. This is my respective opinion. I know there are many that like this track, but I'm sorry, I'm just not one of those. Again, I say, I already ranked it. I hate Rosalie's Ice World. We're moving on. Oh, great. Bowser's joining my video. I wonder what he wants. I hope it's better than Ice World. Oh, okay. Really? Good rock music, you say, Bowser? Bowser. Bowser might bring us a good song. Okay. Okay, let's play this song, okay. Let's hear it. I'm ready. Oh my god! Thank you, Lord Bowser! Thank you! Bowser's Castle 3 from Super Mario Kart. Out of all games, this Bowser's Castle comes from the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And wow! Everything about this course just looks incredibly upgraded. And it might be one of the best looking Booster Course Pass tracks ever. My goodness, there's so much detailing everywhere you go. And Bowser himself, oh man, he was not joking around when he mentioned this incredible rock music. I really like Rock Mountains and DK Summit's rock themes, but this is the best one out of all of them. A heavy metal Bowser's Castle theme just suits him right. An incredible masterpiece with electric guitar that goes so hard, organs adding to the action, heck, even the drums just so strong and fitting. It all blends into one song that just goes really, really hard. Oh yeah, it's time to rock and roll! So now let's talk about what makes this track so good. You start out with a 90-degree left turn towards an anti-gravity section right off the bat. The first course from the SNES to have anti-gravity, by the way. That's a really cool fun fact. With the hot boiling waterfalls of lava surrounding you as you go too. Then you reach another left turn and the track starts to elevate and split up too. This part of the track is where things get super interesting. The path splitting makes way for some thrilling decisions. If you stick to the far left, you'll be going the fastest and can get an item box. But you have to be careful about the lava geyser that occasionally rises up in your path in the process. But if you stick to the far right, you'll be rewarded with coins, but at least it's a less riskier path. It can also be very easy to fall into the lava with these open pits. You'll then be turning across a metal grate with anti-gravity boosters as the lava slowly pours down below you from the tops of the castle. Then you encounter your first thwomp, which is a common obstacle in Bowser's Castle courses. And then you encounter more as you'll be doing some 90-degree turns, and then once you get past the thwomps, then comes another amazing segment, the two elevated walls. If you try to balance atop the walls, it's really challenging by the way, you'll be rewarded with coins and item boxes, and it just feels so satisfying making it all the way across. But if you fall down from them, it's okay. You'll be going on routes consisting of jump ramps with the walls completely surrounding you. It just looks so cool, not gonna lie. You'll be leaving Bowser's Castle at this point as you'll be drifting to the left of more metal grated floor. And once you're out of his castle, some bony piranha plants will be chomping away and two thwomps with a coin above their heads will be going up and down before you finish your epic lap around the castle. The fact that this is actually a retro course, let alone from the SNES, just shows the amount of effort and creativity that went into creating this track and making it as great and challenging as possible. I have no complaints whatsoever. This is everything you want from a Bowser's Castle track. Stunning aesthetics, challenging gameplay, daring music, you name it. Welcome to the S tier, Bowser's Castle 3. You deserve it. You're welcome, Bowser. What do you want, Rosalina?
Hey! Ooh! Yeah!
Wait. What is that track you're talking about?
Ta-da!
Oh my god, is that Wii Rainbow Road?
Yes!
Okay, I forgive everything I said about your ice track, because I didn't know you actually liked this track too.
Hooray!
Okay, where do I begin with this one? Oh my goodness. Well, for starters, this was my reaction to when they announced Wii Rainbow Road was coming in Wave 6. What is it gonna be? What is it gonna be? Yes! Rainbow Road here! Let's go! Rainbow Road! Yes! Yes! Wii Rainbow Road! Wii Rainbow Road! I knew they were gonna bring it! I knew they were gonna bring it! Let's go, dude! Wii Rainbow Road, baby! Let's go, baby! I'll just say right now, this is the first Rainbow Road I have ever known. And when I was a kid, I used to fall off this map a lot. And I mean a lot. And as a result, I was too scared and always avoided playing the Special Cup because of Wii Rainbow Road, because that's how challenging it was. I was scared. I was so scared. Now that I look back, I realize that this Rainbow Road is one of the greatest Rainbow Roads of all time. 3DS Rainbow Road is good in its own right for being like a journey through outer space, but this Rainbow Road, however, is one of the hardest courses ever in Mario Kart history. The layout, just so complex, but just so fun to traverse through. And it adds even more to the challenge with there being minimal guardrails. I just love what they did. The remake of this track in 8 Deluxe just brings everything that made the original version amazing and arguably made it even better and fun in this game. But let's just now walk through this legendary track, shall we? So first thing to note, the entirety of this course is anti-gravity, and I just love that addition since it makes sense. When you're in outer space and there's zero gravity and we're constantly going on winding turns and down slopes, you name it. Amazing addition. The road just looks so good too. It has that original Wii version look to it, but it just has a really modernized texture. Absolutely love that. We start out with the down slope with star rings placed in the risky spots, just like the original. You get a wonderful view of the earth below too. In fact, it's currently my Mac wallpaper screen. Once you're going down the slope, you'll be going on a dash panel back up to then take you to the 3 star rings and the risky half pipe. After you pass that half pipe, the iconic wavy road section is back, and even kept the sound effects of it from the Wii too. Then you'll encounter those 2 circles. Ah yes, those 2 circles. Since you're driving in anti-gravity, you can also slowly jump over those circle gaps, which just feels so satisfying, but it also feels just so risky too, since you can easily fall off. Speaking of which, if you do fall off, they kept the meteor burning effect from the original. I just absolutely love that attention to detail once again. It just brings back childhood memories, not gonna lie. So cool how they brought that one back. After the 2 circle sections, you'll encounter the most difficult turn of the course. There's no guardrails when you take this turn, and it really adds a lot of anxiety as you're taking it. But once you make that turn, you'll then encounter the Star Cannon, in which once again keeps something from the original, the sound effect when you enter it. Oh my goodness, Wii Rainbow Road's already getting a lot of points with these sound effects that they're bringing back. Once you leave the Star Cannon, you then take a half pipe that takes you through a rainbow ring, and then you encounter a split pathway, which always adds fun to a course. Then the final segment of the track involves the entrance of a giant looping star ring with dash panels placed in the most treacherous locations possible. Once you're out of that star ring, you've made it to the end of your lap around the most challenging and longest track in this game. Woo! What a journey. And oh my goodness, we are not done yet. I want you guys to just listen to the music that's playing right now and tell me you're not crying or getting the chills right now. It's one of the best soundtracks in Mario Kart history. I always get goosebumps every time I hum this song while I'm playing this track. So good! This song is so good! I thought DK Summit's soundtrack was iconic, but this is a masterpiece! One of my favorite Rainbow Road themes ever! Sorry, N64 Rainbow Road fans. This is a peak song, man. Wii Rainbow Road blew away my expectations and kept the bits of things from the original that made it stand out. And for that reason, as much as I really like DK Summit, I do have to admit, Wii Rainbow Road consists of everything you want from a legendary Mario Kart course. A challenging layout, keeping small details that made it great, and god-tier music. This is the best track in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Booster Course Pass, and it feels so fitting for it to be the last. Rosalina?
Yes.
I have very good news for you. I'm putting Wii Rainbow Road at the very top of S tier.
Yahoo!
What a course. It almost sheds a tear to my eye. What an ending to this Booster Course Pass. Great finale course. Bravo, Nintendo. We did it! We did it, y'all! We made it through all 6 waves and analyzed every single one of them and ranked every single one of them. Here's a picture of the tier list. From rank S all the way to rank F. All of the Booster Course Pass tracks have now been officially ranked. For the most part, I was a very lenient ranker with a lot of A's and B's. A few S's along the way, but there were some not so great ones in the C and D, and then some, well actually 2 very bad tracks in the Booster Course Pass that are in F tier. The ones that were in A or S tier had 1 or 2 things that really made me like it, whether it came down to its incredible layout or complex layout. Doesn't matter what kind of layout it is, as long as it's a layout that's very distinct and not so simple. Or music that just catches my attention immediately and makes me fall in love with it or hum every time I play it, you know, that sort of thing. Or whether it just comes down to like how the course plays out, what kind of obstacles are in it, and how does it work, you know, where do you go, etc, etc. You know, those are the great things about like those tracks that are in A and S. They have 1 or 2 good things that make it stand out more than the other tracks in the game. The B tiers are really good tracks, but have some major flaws to them sometimes. Like some of the city tracks in B tier, like Rome Avanti, for it being like a very complex track. Vancouver with its laps not being well organized. New York Minute for not being truly New York without the traffic, you know. It doesn't come with its issues like those, but still really good tracks. Like, I love Vancouver, don't get me wrong. But there are just issues sometimes with tracks that, you know, could have better potential. But solid tracks regardless. C tier is where it starts to get really dicey. Like, there's one major issue to them, or just really boring to drive on. Like, Paris is very simple. Sky High Sundae is literally a high elevation baby park, which is not a good thing. Mario Circuit 3 is truly a Super Nintendo track in this game, unlike some of the other Super Nintendo tracks that are in this game right now. That one feels more close to the original than it ever was, which is not a good thing. But I mean, at least they have some form of thing that make them stand out, some form. But then the D tiers where things fall down a lot. London Loop, very long track with little things going on. Tokyo's my least favorite city track in the entire game because it's so dull, boring, and you know, that sort of stuff. And Rosa's Ice World, you can hear my rant again. I just don't like Rosalina's Ice World a single bit. And then F tier, obviously Sunset Wilds. In this game, literally all the things that made it stand out are removed in this version, which sucks a lot. And Toad Circuit is the worst looking course in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Just saying that right now. Toad Circuit shouldn't have even been brought in the first place if it's gonna look like this in this game. That's how bad it is, and it's at the bottom of F tier for a reason. So overall, I mean, these tracks had all their goods and bads, and yeah. In the future, who knows when that will be, because this video already took a long time. I'm gonna be ranking the base 8 tracks. I know I went out of order to just do the Booster Course Pass first before doing base 8, but I wanted to do Booster Course Pass because I felt like some of the tracks in this were really, really good, and like, you know, it's more recent compared to base 8. Man, it took such a long time writing out this script and getting the footage and the editing process to make this video possible. So it really means a lot if you guys really enjoyed this video. I really appreciate it. This was probably the longest project I've worked on, and it took me a lot of time to put it together. So I really appreciate it if you guys really enjoyed it.
Did you guys agree or disagree with my rankings of these tracks? Feel free to let me know down in the comments. I'll do my best to respond to y'all. But with that is a wrap of ranking all of the tracks from the Booster Course Pass in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Subscribe to the channel, please, and stay tuned for future contents.